However, she has been, through her music, working out her issues with him.
Well,
Okay?
if it helps make her some money, I'm all about that. Hi, we're back with another episode of Love, Exes, and O's. And I'm Leah Mayersohn.
And I'm Denise Isaacs.
And today we're going to be sharing our hot takes on celebrity divorces you've definitely heard of.
So the first person we're going to be talking about today, or people, it's Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. They were together for 7 years. They had 4 kids. And the reason for getting divorced was Kanye's public behavior, mental health, and differing lifestyles. They had over $2 billion in assets combined. And Kanye went into this without a lawyer.
Kanye went into his marriage of 7 years without a prenup. Now we know mental illness starts from the beginning. How anyone, he had $1 billion. He had a company and $1 billion. I don't think that Kim Kardashian was anywhere near him, although he did help her throughout the marriage so that her wealth grew. What I have to say about her is that she has done everything in her power to handle a mentally ill husband with grace and understanding and compassion.
I don't know what her actual views are, but I suspect, based upon some of her business dealings, that she herself isn't anti-Semitic. But the fact that she allows him to go out and say certain things and allows him to continue with visitation with the kids and doesn't seem to restrict him, almost tacitly endorses his behavior. You know, he has a school where he teaches.
I want to object, okay? I want to tell you that I'm not sure. She has no control over him. The courts, whatever his views are, the courts are going to make sure that he gets his time sharing, he gets his visitation. She has no control over what he says. She has no control over whether or not the kids are going to see her.
Of course, she doesn't have control over what he's saying and what he's doing. And unfortunately, he appears to be a severely mentally ill individual. But she has her own brand. She's extremely bright. And she's an attorney in her own right who went ahead and passed the California bar.
She did.
And she should know how to get back into court in California and address these types of things. And I understand she's been very graceful in terms of how she's dealing with the father of her children, and that's got to be very difficult for her, and how she's trying to navigate what she says about him publicly. And that's got to be a very, fine needle to go ahead and thread.
It is.
But I think she should be more outspoken about certain things that could be damaging to her children in the future, because I'm sure she doesn't want her children associated with certain views, and damaging to her own brand. And she is certainly a force on her own to be reckoned with. And she certainly has a lot of social media followers and other people who I'm sure would like to hear from her about some of the outrageous and offensive things he's been stating.
You had said that she is, in essence, by going along with him, an anti-Semite, and I totally disagree. I think that she is walking a very, very fine line with a mentally ill father, and I think that she has been just doing whatever she can to deal with a mentally ill father to her children. I don't know if she went to court, if the court could do anything. He has every right to have whatever views he has.
But the difference is, I know, listen, I'm not barred in California, neither are you. But I know if this were a Florida matter and he were behaving outrageously in Florida, she could apply for a psychological assessment, and the court can go ahead, based upon the best interests of the children, potentially restrict his visitation or supervised visitation with the children, to the extent that his mental illness seems to be expressing itself in such an extreme manner repeatedly, because long term, that's damaging to her children in the future. It would be better if he wasn't espousing all these views. And I'm certain that it's also damaging to her brand as well.
I think she just is
And
taking it. She waited years to get divorced from him until he was in a mental position or a mental state to be able to deal with it and to agree to a marital settlement agreement with her. And I think that she has handled it by keeping out of court.
I feel like she's a very educated, intelligent woman, and she could still, take a position of not saying anything negative about her ex-husband and the father of her children, but she could specifically denounce some of the views that he's espoused. And I think she should have done that.
This one is very interesting. Shakira and Gerard.
Oh, yes. And Spain. I heard a little bit about this.
Yeah, so they were not married, but they were long-term partners with 2 kids. Paquette cheated on Shakira, infidelity, and Shakira's response was music as emotional and PR release. So she was basically just producing music.
Good for her.
And she moved to Miami.
Yep, she relocated with the kids to Miami. And they say the takeaway here is co-parenting across borders is not very easy. But public shaming might not be easy as well.
Has she been shaming him in her music? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And the internet got behind her, and there was definitely a big movement of people who were pro Shakira. And the woman kind of looked like a younger Shakira.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Give us your takes.
So we're talking about Shakira, just a one-word superstar, beautiful, lovely lady who had 2 beautiful children with a soccer player whose name I don't know.
It's okay. I don't know it either. She's the superstar in the relationship. And she was I think the one that everyone knows worldwide. She's amazing. She's talented at singing, at dancing, at producing, at doing everything. And it seemed like she just wanted a partner. And this is another case of a very successful woman who ends up with someone who is not on equal footing with her. And I'm sure
he may be a very, very, in the soccer world, he may be a superstar.
I don't know. Is he?
We're not
he's
soccer
pretty well
players.
known. But he's no Shakira.
Okay. Does he earn as much as her or a fraction?
We can look up.
I think worldwide he's a superstar, but
except for with us, he's not.
Yeah. we're not soccer
fans.
buffs, right?
Good for her that she decided to come to South Florida and move on with her life.
However, she has been, through her music, working out her issues with him. Okay?
Well, if it helps make her some money, I'm all about that.
The only thing that he did right, okay, is that they weren't living in the United States, and he allowed her to move to the United States. And when it comes to relocation and children not being able to see their father every single day, I don't know how they worked out their visitation time-sharing plan, but relocation or not having the parents live near each other makes it very, very hard to be in the children's lives. And that is something that we have to take into consideration. So maybe I'm sure the children are better off living here, but they do not see their father on a daily basis, and fathers are very important.
And Leah, how do you feel about the fact that they weren't actually married, but he's worth $55 million? I'm sure she's worth a lot more, but there was no contract signed. Does that change things?
As far as what?
You think it was a smart move as a celebrity?
It was a smart move for her not to marry him, considering the disparities in their net worth.
Yes.
I think that was very smart. I think it would have been much more difficult. Now, I don't know what the law is in Spain, and I don't know where the kids were actually born. So that could have been a huge factor in terms of the advice that she received when she was making the decision to have kids with him.
But she did live abroad with him. And in our country, I don't know if she would have been allowed to move outside of the country to another country if the children were not going to be seeing their father on a regular basis. So Shakira was very lucky. First, she was very lucky that she didn't marry him, so she'd have to divide her substantial net worth with him, and that he allowed her to move to Florida so that she can establish herself and live a life and give the children a beautiful life.
Hips don't lie, but men do.
This one's good. So we have J-Lo and Ben Affleck.
Okay.
Both have been married numerous times. It's another example of addiction. But he wouldn't have been divorced. He would have been living with her and the children and never gotten divorced if he didn't have an addiction. And I think he's alcohol.
Yeah, he's an alcoholic.
And it's a shame. And he seems to have straightened out his life for a period of time. I think he's living in the back house and seeing the children all the time.
I hope he can stay sober. You want to see everyone be successful with that if they want that, and especially for the children. I think at the end of the day,
She tried to save him.
it sounded like she tried to save him, from what they were showing, in public. And it seemed like at a minimum, for her kids' sake, she was trying to make sure that he was sober. And it looks like she finally moved on. And then I think he tried to move on and get back together with Jennifer Lopez. And, a lot of times addicts relapse. I don't know what happened between them. Obviously, neither of us were there behind the scenes. But I imagine that Jennifer Lopez would have been staying with him if he hadn't gone to his bad habits again.
Yeah, I agree. We're speculating. We're totally speculating.
Yep.
We have
No
two
information.
lives and decades of divorce experience. So we're telling you that for us, it's the truth. All I know is what I read. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni. It appears to me that she fell apart after her fourth pregnancy. This was the fourth baby that she had. So I give her a pass on all of her craziness. Her hormones were going crazy. Everything that she did was totally nuts, and he participated in it. I don't think that he did anything wrong. I don't think she did anything wrong. She said that he came on to her and he sexually harassed her. That seems to be what it was. And from other things that I've been reading is that she was acting crazy and she was coming on to him and she was inviting him to her dressing room when she was breastfeeding her fourth baby. Give me a break. Okay, this poor woman, I'm telling you again, okay, I'm giving her a pass. Her husband is going to have to give her a pass, and she should go to mediation and settle this. What do you think?
I agree. I think that this sounds like a crazy scenario, and it's unfortunate that it happened, and that I think that she kind of was afraid after she got caught, and she kind of doubled down on this bad story. And I agree. She was probably a little postpartum, a little bit nuts from everything, from what I've heard.
Feeling like she's not attractive, so she has to do all this stuff, to feel attractive. Craziness.
Anyway, at the end of the day, she roped her husband into this. Yeah. And of course, he's her husband. They have 4 kids together. He has to back her up. And I think it jeopardized his career. And it made him look bad in addition to her.
Makes him look like an idiot. Okay. I mean, makes her look like an idiot, him look like an idiot. And
I agree. They need to settle this quickly and just move on from this.
Yes. They never, ever, ever, ever should have litigated this, because all the People magazine and all the other fanfare and press have latched onto it, and it should have died a long time ago. I feel very bad for all of them. I just feel very bad for all 3 of them.
We thought this was going to be a fun episode, but shame on you, celebrities, for all this bad behavior.
Agreed.